Which they composed specifically for tonight, so thank you very much to them. Thank you.
Come on, take it back.
If you can get past your horns.
Thank you very much, thank you. What a way to start, eh? There we go. Thank you for braving the elements this evening. We've had a few people flooded in, we've had a hospital emergency, we've had everything, but it's great to see so many people here to celebrate with us. So, let's get started. In case you don't know, I'm Damien and this is Mike, and we're the founders of Nexus Education. We're really pleased to be here and join you all for the second iteration of our awards, and let's see how the evening unfolds.
Yeah, and you may have noticed we've changed the name of the awards slightly this year. We've dropped the blog from the awards. That's the reason for that is because we feel we're identifying that it's not just a blog awards, it's not just a networking platform for providers, it's not just a training platform for schools, it's a community. And so we wanted to take out the blog from it. It's the community awards, it's the Nexus Education Awards. And we'll say Nexus Education this, Nexus Education that throughout the rest of today, so please bear with us if it seems a bit self-gratuitous, but it's because we see everyone here and everyone who contributes, from the providers to the schools, to the teachers, to our amazing bloggers. We're all Nexus Education and it's a community, so please do bear with us on that. So Stephen, the head teacher for Tottington Primary School, will formally introduce the venue shortly. However, we wanted to say a bit about why we chose this great school before that.
Yeah, so one thing I want to mention before we go in, part of the community is obviously online, that's how we all know you all. It's nice to put some faces to the hashtags. We're actually live streaming on Facebook over there, so don't give away. So anybody who can't join us today is on there now, so I thought I'd mention that. So you on that table there, maybe cut down the swearing a little bit, so So as Mike said, community is at the heart of Nexus Education, and a dedicated advocate of the community right from the start of our journey has been Simon Hunt, who teaches here at Tottington. So Simon's done a lot already in education. He recently changed EU law with regards to captivity of animals in captivity, is that right?
Killer whales, yeah.
Killer whales in captivity, there we go. It doesn't sound like that's grandiose. Killer whales, it's great. As well as that, Simon's also shared classroom ideas, reviews of tech through quirky videos, delivered CPD at our events, came with me on a jolly work trip to Barcelona, where he delivered a keynote speech to over 150 school leaders, so it was a work trip, doesn't matter what the taxman says. And kindly offered to host tonight's awards at his lovely school, and Stephen's lovely school, obviously. As you'll see throughout the night, Simon does feature prominently, so yeah, keep the smiles.
It's a sore point there about the jolly, because if I noticed from the pictures that Damien spent more time at the new camp than actually in an educational event, but we won't talk and dwell too much on that.
With Derek as well.
Yeah. So it's been a very busy year for us at Nexus in the office. In fact, all these pictures aren't in the office. These are from events that we've been doing throughout the year, our networking events. Since we started just over 2 years ago, we've hosted 500 blogs to provide a sounding board and free guidance for teachers. Donated nearly £40,000, and it will cross the £40,000 mark next week, I think, when we host an event in Leeds. And that's all to deserving schools that we host our networking sessions with. We've run over 25 of those sessions so far, offering fully subsidised CPD days, which are tailored to the attending schools based on their specific needs. And through the exciting partnership which we have with David Winfield from the Independent Schools Portal, who's not here yet.
He's 2 minutes away in a taxi.
He's one of the people flooded out. Through that partnership we have with independent schools, we've been able to build our CPD offerings and offer whole days of training, which David builds. So he deserves a big pat on the back when he gets through the door, although he's late now, so maybe...
Maybe if we all cheer him when he comes in, you get really
We'll give
conscious.
you a sign. So when I post my hand up, that's David coming in, so you all need to give a good cheer. So by the end of the year, that donation will be £66,000 from the events that we've got already in the pipeline. Hopefully, some more that have got, some schools have got in touch with us this last week, and that'll be to over 600 schools. In addition to 130 hours of CPD, fully funded CPD training and guidance, which obviously with the partnership with David. So for those of you who attended the awards last year, you may remember our promise, our pledge to donate over £100,000 by the end of 2021, start of 2022. But through the efforts of our community so far, I think we're going to hit that target early. So we've got to keep, no excuse to rest on our laurels, we've got to keep pushing it out and raising awareness.
Are we going to put it up though? Put him on the spot now, I think.
We'll see. Once we hit that 100,000, we'll have a stretch goal then. So our school community isn't the only thing that's grown this year. We now work with over 340 providers offering innovative solutions to real school problems and interests. And we can connect those through our next working with schools. Last term alone, we facilitated 1,529 conversations between school leaders and the providers who were selected specifically for their interests and needs.
Oh, here we go, here comes the technology. There we go. Yeah, there's lots of success stories in there as well. We were saying earlier today, there's groups who say, there's a group in London saved over £250,000 from one of our events. So there's lots of success stories all over the UK, so we're really proud of our events platform. But that's the last of talking about us, because the real thing that's enabled all of those things has been our community. Everyone here today, everybody online, and all of our schools within our clusters. Without everyone working selflessly to share tips and hints, no matter how big or small you may feel they may be, Nexus would just be Mike and I in a room putting the world to rights, and we do that anyway.
Yeah.
If you'd indulge me for a bit of a rant for 30 seconds here.
Once we've had in the office putting the world to rights.
I believe, we believe, and I'm sure a lot of people here believe, that more funding for schools is needed. We're trying to do our piece, but more is needed. A better approach to mental health well-being is essential to keeping teachers teaching and children learning, and redressing the work-life balance nightmare teachers face is another important priority. These are issues that, unfortunately, I think we'll all agree, will not be solved through governmental funding and legislation in the immediate future. However, one thing we can continue to do is carry on collaborating, sharing and supporting one another, and we hope you, like us, feel that Nexus has helped with these three things. But we'd ask for your help in reaching other teachers now outside of our network, within your own networks. We're going to do a bit of a
shameless promotion.
Shameless promotion now. So we're going to ask everyone to get their phones out, and we're going to do a quick minute where we're going to tweet out about the awards. We're going to invite people to come and watch. They can watch it on Facebook, tweet it out though, the link to Facebook. And just let's get the word out there and get CPD going.
And follow on from a tradition we started last year as well. Davey and I will do a stage selfie and post that. So make sure you're smiling in the background and not looking too drunk. I'm not actually timing this 30 seconds, so someone wave when it feels about 30 seconds. Once you've all got a picture, yeah.
Some really untech-savvy people can't tweet in less than about half an hour.
It's okay, by the time we get to dinner, the tweets will be out there.
Yeah, so as well, you might have noticed the lovely bottles of Nexus Bubbly here. We're going to randomly pick a tweet at the end of the day, completely random, and you're going to win a bottle of Nexus Bubbly. I can't test what it tastes like, but it looks good, so.
Yeah, Nexus branded fizz.
So a few phones out there. Keep it going for a minute.
David might turn up by the time we've done all the promotion.
We've got the hashtag there as well, hashtag Nexus Awards 2020. I didn't think of Wi-Fi.
Yeah. Do it later.
It'll send later, don't worry.
I would put my hotspot on, but I think that'll use all my data in the room today.
So, let's get going. Let's move on to some amazing guest speakers. We've got four. Yeah, keep going with the tweeting. We've got 4 individuals tonight who are going to come up and share their experiences. First up is someone who got rave reviews this year when they spoke at Beck down in London. To welcome us to the school and talk about creating a positive school ethos, we'd like to introduce our host for the night, Tottenham Primary School head teacher, Stephen Holden.
That's why there's some switching now.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Tottington Primary School. This is the school hall where I do most of the assemblies, so to see it looking as amazing as it does tonight, congratulations, Nexus, and welcome to people online to Tottington Primary School. It always looks this good. The people out there don't even have beards, though, so it's usually children. So, clicker. You need to let me know when this guy comes in.
Yeah, you'll have to do the hand up. I'll give you the
I don't know who he is. Right, so I've been asked to speak this evening to start the event, just to explain the journey that this school's been on, and really to make you think about, if you're a teacher, the way that you conduct yourself in your school, and if you're a leader, what it means to lead a school in the 21st century. So, this is me when I started my job here at Tottington Primary School in 2012. I was old, I was looking tired, I was bald, I was dishevelled, and this is me now. My hair's grown back, which is fantastic, and this is evidence that if you get things right in your school, this career can take years off you, no matter what anyone tells you. And this, you're inside it. This is Tottington Primary School, and myself, Simon, and the staff sat at this front table are incredibly proud of this small primary school. It's in Bury, it's tucked away north of Manchester, but we feel we are doing amazing things. And I've been asked tonight to just talk about that journey that we've been on. Every school is on a journey, and we're very proud of our journey here. Within 6 years, we've gone from satisfactory over time, then we slipped into requiring improvement, but within the last 6 years, we're now good with outstanding features. In local league tables, we were 37th. We've now been at the top of those league tables for the last 4 years running. We've got parents at the back who have helped us with the food this evening. Please give them a round of applause. And Team Pat at the back will tell you that everybody's been on this journey, and it was difficult to be so low in those league tables. Now we're at the top. In national statistics, we were below national averages. We're now top 5% nationally. And we've done that whilst the Tottington environment has changed. We've grown by 46 children in that time. We're a resource for physically disabled children. So we have challenges and successes because of our amazing, unique build-up of the children that we have here. And our free school meals has doubled. So even though things are changing here at Tottington, we've managed to thrive. And I want to tell you some of the reasons why I think that is. So, when you start to succeed, people start to ask, can I have a bit of that? They come, they visit, can I have a look at your policies? Can we borrow your curriculum because we want your results? Have you changed your teachers? Did you sack everybody and start again? No, they're largely the same staff that we started with in 2012. What changes did you do? Because we want a piece of it. We want those results. We want those results. And what I've said to them is, the results is the end point, not the start point of any thinking that we do here. In fact, it's quite straightforward what we did. We sorted our culture and ethos. When you get your culture and ethos right at a school, you end up with happy teachers. And if you have happy teachers, you have happy children. And if you have happy children, you will then get your results. And actually, those bottom two are byproducts. So it isn't where you start to think of your process of running what I think is an excellent school. It's the byproduct results. You have to work on your culture and your ethos and make sure your teachers are happy. I will explain in the next 15 minutes or so how we did that here at Tottington. And actually, this next 5 minutes is just for leaders in the room, or aspiring leaders in the room. Because if you want to get your culture and ethos right in a school, it's all about you. It's all about the head teacher. When I started my time here, I was a year 6 teaching deputy in Bolton, and then 6 weeks later, I was the head teacher here. And in those 6 weeks, I didn't get any more wisdom or any more knowledge. I just had to do the job as I saw it. And I decided then that I'm not all that. I'm just another teacher who's in this role now with incredible staff, the best of it for the children that we have. So I decided not to have letters after my name because I didn't like what that represented. I don't have my own place on the car park, although I've just had to move my car. It wasn't in my space then. I don't have my own chair in the staff room because these things talk about hierarchy. And there is hierarchy in schools, of course there is. And the head teacher is part of that hierarchy, but only in accountability and in decision making. Everything else you have to do together as a team. Because working in a school is like going into battle. And it's a tough battle sometimes working in a primary school. So when I was thinking about that, I looked at history. And I looked at battles in history. And I see two types of head teacher when I look back in history. The first type of head teacher is the one that sits in his ivory tower and makes the decisions and lets everybody else run around and do things. When we look back in history and we test whether the sound is working, let's see what that looks like. Synth, sound.
The healthy humour of the honest Tommy. Don't worry, my boy. If you should falter, remember that Captain Darling and I are behind you.
About 35 miles.
So, leader number one. You're leading your team, but they're 35 miles behind you, or in front of you, even worse. This is what I didn't want to be, because if you have a gap between the leader and the people that are implementing policy, then that gap is where the problems occur. When things don't go well, how long does it take to get to the decision makers, the SLT? So you can't have a leader that is above everybody else. I didn't want to be that leader. I compare myself, after watching the film 300, obviously, to Leonidas. My wife's in the room, she will admit the six-pack is similar. I compare myself, I would like to compare myself to that. Let's have a look at the difference between the two styles of leadership.
Earthquake.
No, Captain. End of lunchtime.
Already today.
This is where we hold them.
This is a typical rainy day
This is where we
in
fight.
Southampton. These are my midday supervisors.
Remember this day, man. It will be yours for all time. This is Tuffington.
And this is the game we
Right in the pivotal moment.
So, if you want to lead a school, you are better leading it with your team. To be amongst them so that when you succeed together. There is no single point of failure. And if you fail, you can work on the issues together as a team. That's what I wanted. Well, how do you get that message across to your team? It was 6 weeks, the 6-week holidays before I became a head teacher. But I decided who I wanted to be, Leonidas, obviously. And then you have to let people see it. Use every opportunity to show the person that you want to be, publicly, in front of the children and in front of the staff. And the most important thing is stick to it. Because if you are different, and if you change who you are, people will start to doubt your intent. And you cannot build an ethos if you are different with different people. So, when I reflected on this, and I had to think about what does this mean to start a headship in a school like this, and to have to do that journey on your own to begin with. And I liken it to dancing in a field on your own, where everybody else is doing a different dance, but you're just doing a dance your way. So this was me, September 12. I knew the dance that I wanted to dance. But you see this guy, he's and some people dancing. But I realised I couldn't do this dance on my own. I needed somebody to help me. And that person at the time was a guy called Marcus Elder, the deputy. So I pulled him to one side and I said, this is the dance, Marcus, and you're going to have to dance with me, and I'm going to have to teach you that dance. Here's Marcus. And I grab him, and I say, Marcus, this is the way we do it here now. This is the way we're going to lead Toppington Prime. And he's like, yeah, you know what? This dance is all right. And we carried on. We carried on doing that dance. And what happens next is you get the early adopters, the people that were ready for change. They start to join you as well. You go, you know what? This new dance is okay. We're going to do this together. Sometimes it's your SLT, it might be a group of teachers that were ready for that change. But the person in the middle is still doing that dance, helped by his deputy. And slowly, and I mean slowly but surely, what happens is amazing after that, because if you do your dance and you stick to it, everybody wants a piece of that. Because now you're not on your own, but you started something different. You change your culture and it's become the norm. And Tottington now, and hopefully one of the reasons why you're here tonight, is that people run from the hills now to be part of something special. Simon is trying to tell the story nationally and now internationally about what we do. We're incredibly proud of it. The second thing, when you're trying to change your ethos and your culture, my second mantra is you need to be the best person you can be every single day. This is a message to teachers now as well as leaders in the room. That if you turn up every day, you have to be the best that you can be. And that means, for us here, relentless positivity. And we know that's difficult. Decided as a leader, I will be relentlessly positive when I walk through those doors. Sir Alex Ferguson on the Carrington training ground put white lines at every entrance so that the young Manchester United footballers, as they stepped over that threshold, knew they were part of something bigger and better, and they should be proud of that. And I feel Tottington has an imaginary white line. So when you step over that threshold, you have to be relentlessly positive, because you're part of something bigger, and we're here for the children of this village. And sometimes that's difficult, and you have to teach people how to be positive. It doesn't come naturally. But here, it's a non-negotiable. We made it into a non-negotiable with 3 simple words: always aim high. And I know schools have their strap lines. It's cool these days. But this is a way of life here. And it means asking yourself difficult questions if you work at Tottington Primary School, such as, what stops you being the best version of yourself? And that's a tough question, but we've done staff meetings on this, and we've searched our soul. Is it the missus? Is it the fella in the morning? Is it the rain? Is it that horrible Year 5 class that you don't want to teach? Because can you control it? If you can control some of your problems, then you need to solve them, because only you are responsible for your own actions and for changing the outcome. And if you can't control the things that get on your nerves, then don't let them affect who you want to be. Because as you come onto these grounds, or any primary school or any high school in this land, you need to be the best version of yourself. And if you can't control what's upsetting you, don't let it bother you. My second question is, if you're a teacher, is it the children's fault as to why you're not being the best person you should be? If you're a leader, is it your staff's fault? Because if it is, sort it. Because only you can sort it. But if it isn't the children's fault, or it isn't your staff's fault, if it's something that happened at home, don't let them see your mood. Because it's not their fault, not their problem. Leaders, if you have a happy day, if you've got a happy face, your staff will know the type of day they're going to have. Teachers, if you're happy and you're positive, your children will read your mood and they will know they're going to have a good day. We have immense power to change people's well-being and their day. So let's use it as a positive. The second part of what we were talking about on that first slide is happy teachers and a focus on well-being. We were discussing earlier about the well-being of children and teachers. It's a massive buzzword. It was actually on the Nexus slide as we came in today, and rightly so. It's a huge issue that we have to tackle, the well-being of children and the well-being of staff. And there's amazing things that you can do now. You can buy them off the shelves, you can go on training, and here at Tottington we've done some of these things. I don't know what peer tapping is. I saw it on a website. We've not done that yet. We've not done peer massage either. Simon's got very rough hands. But you can buy these things off the shelf. But I think what you're telling from what we do here is it's not about what you can buy. It's about the people. So my next slide is a Venn diagram, and I created it myself. It looked mishelp, really Boltonian. Welcome if you're from below Birmingham. This is how we speak. I think well-being is one of two things. It's about self and it's about expectations. And me as a leader here at this school, this is what I think about every day. So let's have a look at self. Your well-being is about how you see yourself. And that's not an abstract concept, I don't think, because you see yourself with the way that other people tell you. That's what social media is built on. So here, as leaders, we use every opportunity to tell staff and to tell children when they're being brilliant, all the time, so that their own self-image is a positive one, because that will impact on their well-being. The second one is how others see you. Again, social media is built on what other people think of you, and that has a massive effect on your well-being. So through social media, through people like Simon and Sim at the front who innovate, this is the way that we try and show other people that we are happy and we are positive, because if they think we're brilliant, we'll probably start to believe it ourselves.
This is
Doesn't hold better now.
the dab is done, and it's this dance craze sweeping schools across the country. These pupils in Bury aren't even in double digits yet, but their viral masterclass has been viewed millions of times.
Hello, I'm sick of these teachers coming in here every morning playing the music really loud. I've put some cameras in, let's see what they've been up to.
I want to break free.
Gotta get involved, we win them. Let's have dance lessons for this one. I want your children to go to a school where the staff are that happy, and sometimes that's difficult. That is the message that we put out there, and actually it helps with the staff's own well-being, I think. The second part of well-being is about the expectations. Now, the expectations that you set yourself, and that's a challenging one because everybody has their different levels, but as leaders, the expectations that you set them can have an impact. Now, you have to look at this, and there are explicit ways that you could do it. You could look at your policies, you could make sure that your marking policy is fair, but actually, it's the implicit expectations that I've had to really consider. So, I don't send text messages in the evenings. What does that tell your staff? That you're supposed to be thinking about school 24/7. I know I do, but I don't expect anybody else to. I don't send emails in the evenings either. I don't set work over holiday periods, because what does that say? That you should be working whilst trying to have some time with your family? Absolutely not. This is just a job, isn't it, at the end of the day? And I try my very best not to do these things so that my staff don't feel that they've got something that they can't live up to. My car is not the first one there on the car park in the morning, in whatever space I choose. It's not the last car there in the evenings, because that sets an unrealistic expectation to my staff. And I know you might disagree. Some heads want other people to see how hard they work. But why? Because you're setting an unrealistic expectation there for your staff to one that they probably can't uphold, and it will impact on their well-being. I've got one question for you, and this is to everybody in the room, and I'll be very brief. I've taken up enough of your time. It's this. Is your school the best place in the world? Because I think ours is. But because I like a grid and it makes me look really special. If you're a teacher, have a look at the top row. If you're a leader, have a look at the bottom. Is your school the best place in the world? If you're a teacher, if it is, then stay there and learn and start to believe what your leaders tell you, so that when you do become leader, you can pass on that message. And if it isn't, I'd leave. There are 16,000 primary schools in this country. There's 65 in Bury and 100 in Bolton. That's 165 you could go to tomorrow if you're not happy. And you've got one chance at this. And if you're passionate and you know you're right, I'd go to a school that has the same ethos and values as you. If you're a leader, if yours is the best place in the world, then spread the word, like Simon and I are trying to do all the time. Because hopefully it inspires people to feel the same way. And if it isn't, sort it. Because we've got one chance with these children to make their primary school years, and apologies if there's some high schools, and their high school years as well. We've got one chance to make those the best years of their lives, because we want to be remembered when they're old. So, if you're going to take anything from my rambling 20 minutes at the start of this amazing award, I want you to take away one thing tonight. Be this guy. You decide what your dance is. And I want you to dance that dance no matter what other people say. Be relentlessly positive, and I guarantee people will follow you. You're in this room tonight because you believe in something special, and you've put yourself out there, whether it be a blog or something else. You've put yourself out there because it matters, so you keep doing your dance. I hope you have an amazing awards tonight. Welcome to Tottington Primary School.
Wow. I'm inspired. I don't know about you guys, but I'm inspired. Thank you very much, Stephen. The slide at the end there looked about a little bit like me dancing when I'm in the bathroom, but there we go. A bit more meat on him though than me, I think.
Sorry, Stephen. Oh, hang on. I was paranoid about going to the loo or something and leaving this on. So I've done the opposite. Stephen, you've left too soon. If you wouldn't mind joining us back up on stage. Being a school leader yourself, we thought that you'd be the most appropriate person to give out this award, our first award of the night, which is the Improving School Leadership Award.
Can I say one thing while you're on stage, Steve? There's a lot of people here who we deal with. Well-being's huge at the moment, as we know. There's a lot of people here who maybe think that, you know, why am I sharing what I do? They don't believe in themselves fully. But I think we, as a team, believe in them. Yeah. Everyone in this room believes in you, and you're helping people in schools across the country and across the world. You don't even know you're helping. So just keep doing what you're doing, and if anyone's struggling, reach out to any of us, reach out to another member of the community. That's what we're here for. So I want to just join that at the end.
And so Stephen, we'll leave you to open your envelope there and announce the first award.
So the first award is the Improving School Leadership Award, and we have the nominees here. Oh, do I show that? To our international viewers, sorry. We are asked to judge the Improving the School Leadership Award. The shortlisted nominees are Derek Apple, Ronaldo Lawrence, David Winfield, Alex Barnes, Anne-Marie Dack, Karen Barker, Carl Barton, Carol Hyatt, Robert Lilly, Julie Keys, Natalie Clark, Bradley Bush and Edward Watson, and Naomi Clyde Roberts. We have an honourable mention for... Is that the winner?
This is honourable mention.
Oh, sorry.
we recall our speakers really well.
Yeah, just give me an envelope. An honourable mention for Derek Apple. And the winner of the Improving the School Leadership Award goes to Naomi Clyde Roberts. Congratulations.
So, Naomi is not here. She is watching via the iPad. So, we chose the half-term break to enable as many teachers as possible to travel. Obviously, we're up north, a lot of people down the south coast, a lot of people in the UAE as well. Understandably, a lot are on the well-earned break, I don't blame them. A few are flooded, like we said before, and other bits and bobs. So we asked those that can't attend to send us a video or a statement, as we believe that hard work shouldn't go unrecognised just because you can't travel to us tonight. It will be a theme.
Yeah, just to pre-warn you. And it fits in with the digital nature of our community anyway. With that in mind, Naomi's left this message she's asked me to read out. So thank you so much for this award. I am certainly seeing the challenges of leadership on a day-to-day basis. It keeps me on my toes. Nexus Education is such a positive community to be part of, and they have encouraged me to challenge and push myself to achieve more. Well done to all of the nominees and award winners, and have a fabulous evening.
So a round of applause for Naomi, please. So congratulations, Naomi. Quickly moving on to the next award of the night. And I'd like to welcome on stage our colleagues from one of our networking partners, CPOMs, who have kindly sponsored the Spotlight on Wellbeing Award, given how relevant it is to the work they're doing with schools around safeguarding and wellbeing. So we'll give a round of applause, please.
I should say this is Naomi's trophy here as well, so we'll make sure that gets out to...
So, good evening everyone. Thank you for inviting us to do this award today. Thank you for everyone's support as well for CPOMs. I'm sure a lot of you in the room actually do use us. So yeah, we were asked to judge the Spotlight on Wellbeing Award. The shortlisted nominees are...
Oh, I've got to read it now.
Joe Fitzgerald, Maisie Laurels, Victoria Hewitt, Deborah McLean, Jennifer Wyman, Anna-Marie Dax, Gemma Sanchez, Nick Sermon, Ms Glynn, Neil Coleman, Kate Knight and Sue Atkins. We have an honourable mention for Gemma Sanchez. And the winner of the Spotlight on Wellbeing Award goes to Kate Knight.
Kate, come on up here and grab your award. Yeah, I'll give you that. Hand that over.
Thank you so much. I know it's not fixed.
Do you want to turn, anyone who wants to take some photos, or has got their camera out? Rhiannon here definitely wants a photo.
Yeah, we've not paid for a photographer, so...
You are our photographer.
The head teacher at my high school speech day forgot my name, so this might be slightly more impressive.
Do you have? I'll hold it for you.
Honestly, Spotlight on Wellbeing, I feel a bit of a fraud because all I've done really is just tell you all about my difficulties and share my mental breakdowns online. I think what I'm trying to do though is let people know that it's normal and that actually well-being isn't something that is unusual. It's not something that people need to feel ashamed about. It's something that every single person has to look after. And for each person that will be different. For some people it will be that they can get through most days. For other people it will be that every day is a little bit harder. And there's nothing wrong with that. We're all surviving the best we can. So reach out, find somebody that you can talk to. And if that is me, my DMs are always open on Twitter. So please, if you need to talk to somebody, contact me. Or the Nexus guys, they're amazing. Don't ever be alone. Teaching can be very, very lonely, but no man is an island. Reach out, look after yourselves.
Thank you very much. Wow,
so, yeah, fantastic, Kate. Thank you very much.
Like hands and that, we have to be this side, don't we?
Yeah. So thank you for your support, Kate. I look forward to welcoming you back on stage. We're not like the Oscars, where it's you're not guaranteed an award if you're winning. We give it out to whoever's voted, as we said before. I'd like to welcome onto the stage next someone whose talk is, I'm imagining, going to resonate with a lot of us here tonight. This is someone we've worked with a lot over the past year, and there's been a great sounding board. And I know Damien and Rhiannon will also appreciate. She's been a great help with getting the kids to bed with her great children book, Sir Undercracker, which you may have seen at the raffle.
Naomi and Oliver are actually watching right now, so it's bedtime, so they'll recognise your name when it comes up.
Yeah. So if everyone could join me in welcoming Anna Lucas, educator, author, and historian.
Okay, hi, good evening everybody. I'd like to say thank you guys for inviting me here. I'm not a nervous wreck and I'm glad that this is, I'm second up. I'm not glad, Stephen Holden, that I'm on after you, because that is a bloody tall order to follow. When Damien asked me whether I would come and talk at the Nexus Awards, he said, I want you to talk about your passion, Anna, and working with passion. And I'm going to give you a bit of an insight really into who I am and where I'm from, because I'm from a very strict Irish Catholic family, and you'll understand this in a moment when my dreams were ruined at the age of 5. But one of the things that I've brought up with, and the voice that resonates in my head, is my grandma May. And I'm going to do the worst Irish accent possible for you now, but self-praise is no praise, dear. And that resonates through the family. None of us want to say, actually, we've achieved something, we've got this. So when Damien asked me to come and talk about my achievements, I was like, oh, here we go. So I'm going to talk about my achievements, and I am very proud of them, and I do have to say that, but I haven't got here by myself, and I've certainly not got to where I am without a lot of blood, sweat, and a lot of tears, and more tears, and more tears, as Simon Hunt will know over the past couple of months, and lots of my other colleagues. So my name is Anna. I am an early years specialist, phonics expert, children's author, and I passionately believe that we need to get it right for children right from the start. And here in the UK, the policy that's created kind of puts us all under so much pressure to make children do too much too soon. And the way in which I'm working with lots and lots of schools across the country is that actually, let's get it right for children. Let's give them what they want and they need. Let's have a look at policy. Everyone asks me, what does Ofsted want? What does Ofsted want? It's not about what Ofsted want, it's what children want and need. And where children want and need came from is when you are, when a child says to you, I want, I want, I want. Just have a whisper in the person's ear next to you. When a child says to you, I want, what is your general response to that? Well, in our houses, I want doesn't get. And one of my very best friends, Rachel, her daughter Sophie, when she comes round to Auntie Anna's house, she loves it because she's got all these boxes, play boxes, and she says, Anna, I want. And I'm saying, Sophie, but I want doesn't get. And she stamps her foot and said, okay, then I need. And I thought, well, do you know what, actually, she's 3. She's either going to rule the world or she's going to end up in prison, one or the other. And Rachel is happy for me to say this out loud. But we've got to strive to give children what they want and they need in their foundation years, and give them the foundations for firm futures, to be happy, to be healthy, their well-being, managing their feelings and relationships, and so much more. And that's why I'm honoured and privileged to work in the field that I do and with everybody that I do work with. So a little bit about me. I'm not sure whether you can recognise which one is me here, but then I want to take a bit of a guess. But this is me in the west of Ireland. Yes, every single summer in the west of Ireland, 6 weeks, it was great. I think my dad actually has probably had far too many whiskies, and I don't think that at the time social services would have been involved in that stage. However, this was me at the tender age of 3, with my older brother James, my sister Marianne, my wonderful dad Pete, who's an absolute inspiration to me, and I wouldn't be where I am now without him, and still every single day. And there's little old me, full of joy, love, laughter, self-confidence, self-awareness. I thought I had it made. I thought I was going to be the youngest of 3 children. I thought I was going to be doted on. You heard me mention Irish Catholic family earlier. 2 years later, my and the other 3 came along. Okay, that's what they're fondly referred to. So 30 plus years on, and I'm not going to kind of give you too much because you work out age there. We've still got Big Pete, as we fondly refer to him as, my lovely mum Rita, my older brother James and Marianne, myself, and then the other 3. And this one, this one, the blonde one, we've no idea where she came from. And we were all very jealous. She says she escaped the ginger gene, and she did. But it's down to this motley crew and a really great network of friends and family and colleagues who actually have now turned into, well, they're not even colleagues anymore, they're just friends, where work feels like it's not work and it's just fun and a joyous place to be. But these are the guys that have helped me get to do all the things that I do, to manage my own business where I'm just about keeping my head above water most days. But one of my biggest and proudest achievements, which Rhiannon and Damien are delighted about because it gets their kids to bed, as does Charlotte and Simon Hunt get their kids to bed. So the bit of a plug there, if you're struggling for bedtime, you need to buy Sir Undercracker, but we'll talk about that later. Yeah, it is in the raffle, it is indeed. But one of my biggest and proudest achievements is the fact that actually I am the proud author of the story of Sir Undercracker. And I'd like to tell you a little bit about how that came about, and actually that it took 10 whole years. And hopefully, following on from my trials and tribulations, that you guys might be able to do something and get it out much more quickly, than I actually did. So this is Sir Undercracker. This was taken in Aberystwyth. We actually went to the printers. Now I'll talk about that in a while, why we went to the printers. And my husband James bought me a glass of fizz and said, "Congrats, Anna, you're an author." And I went, "Oh, I've not really thought about that. I've just got 3,000 books I need to get rid of. What do I do now?" But I'd like to tell you a little bit about the story behind Sir Undercracker and where that came from. So in our house, and as Stephen said earlier, due to whether you are, what did you say about the border, above Birmingham? Does everybody know the term undercrackers?
Yes.
Yeah, when I went to read this book down south, it was a different story altogether. But anyway, my children, Casey and Edward, this is written about my beautiful children, Casey and Edward. Casey is 16, Edward is 11. They would like me to point out they do not do this anymore. They are not happy about this, that I actually talk about them, but they would basically rock up to any occasion possible with undercrackers on their head, mainly sabotaging bedtime because I didn't have a story like Sir Undercracker to get them to bed. And one evening they were jumping up and down on the bed, bear in mind this was 10 years ago, jumping up and down on the bed with undercrackers on their head, and I playfully exclaimed to them, "Oi, Sir Undercracker, oi Nelly Knickerbocker, stop jumping on the bed and get them off your head." And there was this light bulb moment of, oh, this could be a good story. So once I'd got the lights off and that sigh of relief, I think there were 4 and 2, I know 5 and 2 at the time. Give me a wave if you've got 5 and 2-year-olds, so that's me. Yeah, it's okay, things do get better. But that sigh of relief on that Saturday evening as lights off and over a cold glass of crushed grapes, quite a few of those, I started to scribble this idea of a story that could be Sir Undercracker. I'll be honest with you, it wasn't good. It had the makings of something, but it was just literally written down on a piece of paper. Fast forward 10 years, and I mean 10 years, this story lay dormant because of life, because of children, because I hadn't a clue how to even get that idea from my brain that I wrote down on a piece of paper that put to one side, how I could turn that into this shiny new book. It was, so fast forward 10 years, I was introduced to by one of my very good friends, Isla, to her sister Fiona Cameron, who's an artist. And she said, "Why don't you send it to Fiona, see what she says?" I then had a conversation with a wonderful designer called Steph, and she said, "Well, this is easy, we just do this." And suddenly, from June onwards, I think maybe May, June time, said, "This has got to be on the shelves for Christmas." And very quickly, this deadline started happening. That's when, and another thing about, just to go back to the red hair, I was always told that I'd never go grey. I did go grey in those few months. As I said, fast forward 10 years, all these people were involved. I had no idea what to do, where to even start, but everybody was there saying, "Right, you can do this, you've got this, you can do this." And these are the original Sir Undercrackers with Isaac Tune. Marianne Dan, my sister, might need some help help with Isaac after the weekend. We'll talk about that later. Okay, but this is Casey, this is Edward. Edward saw this on the screen last night and said, I can't believe you're doing that. I said, it's all right, darling, I'll take it down, I promise. Shh, don't tell him. So these are my original cylinder crackers that they were sporting their underwear on their head, and that's where that came from. And just to show you here about this shiny new book, in terms of the front and the back page, when they first arrived, I was really sad because I printed it all out, the thing of it, and I put it all together. I made my own special little book. So there is a special little book that's all stuck together. But the day that this arrived, I was absolutely delighted. However, it wasn't all plain sailing, and I've got a little bit of a story to tell you about that, which at the time I couldn't tell anyone because I was absolutely devastated about what had happened, but now I can laugh about it. I was about to do a book launch on the 22nd of December 2018, alongside my first EYFS conference, which was an absolute roaring success. The books were supposed to arrive the night before. It got to 9 o'clock at night. They hadn't arrived. It got to 10 o'clock at night. They hadn't arrived. The next morning, I had a phone call. Anna, they're not coming. Okay, that's fine. It's not a problem. We'll concentrate on the conference. It's fine. Steph, my designer, knew what had happened at 9 o'clock that morning, but didn't have the heart to tell me because she knew that I had to deliver this conference. And I got a phone call at 5 to say, Anna, I'm really sorry to tell you this, but we've been frauded. £2,500 had been intercepted by a company who pretended to be a printing place. They had phone calls, I spoke to them, Steph spoke to them. They told us that they could see Sir Undercracker coming off the press, and it looked marvellous, and they couldn't wait to get it to us, and that they were all now in the van and being handed down to us. And basically, they were, and they are known as, and this is the embarrassing thing, they were known as the Bonnie and Clyde of the printing world. So, at this stage, I had a mini nervous breakdown, as you can well imagine, and drank lots and lots of wine, lots of it. And realised that because this book was supposed to be ready, we actually had, because I've got really good family and friends, we had 1,000 pre-orders paid for that had to be out for Christmas. It wasn't a good place to be in. We had all these orders, we had no books. So 3 excruciating weeks later, we have a new printer who are ready to say, yeah, Anna, no problem, we've got the deadline, we'll have it to you for the 7th of December. The 7th of December came along, sorry Anna, we're behind deadline. Okay, give me a date. So I'm still breathing, but when I go, if any of you know me, when I go really calm, it means that I'm mad as well. There's a story behind it. So I was told that it was going to be delayed yet again and yet again. So Stephen, you'll like this one. On the 14th of December, I spoke to Nigel, and I said, Nigel, where are my books? I need those books. I need them now. He said, well, Anna, they're printed, or they're just about to be printed, but we probably won't get them out to you next Wednesday. This was on the 14th of December, knowing what the last date of the Christmas post was. I said, Nigel, I am coming to Aberystwyth. I made sure Edward got his afternoon mark, and then he was kidnapped from school. So I kept up with the school's attendance policy. They were very happy about that. So off we went to Aberystwyth to pick up said books. En route to Aberystwyth, I get another phone call from Nigel, and you couldn't write this, you really couldn't. I get another phone call from him saying, have you set off from Manchester yet, Anna? Yeah, I have, I'm on my way, we were about an hour away. Well, unfortunately, the books are all printed, but the kind of machinery that chops all the books up into place, it's just broken. And we can't get another one till maybe Sunday, and it's coming all the way from Switzerland. Basically, Nigel, I'm on my way. If you have to chop them by hand, I need 1,000 books, and I'm not leaving Aberystwyth until we get there. Okay, so fortunately, it was actually, when we got there, an amazing experience. My son got to see that creation of Sir Undercracker hot off the press. We got to see the whole production line happening. We got to see them coming off the press. It was an amazing experience. And we left Aberystwyth with those 1,000 copies. We got home, we got them out in time for Christmas, and they were there, ready under the Christmas tree for everybody to see. I think the reason I'm sharing this story with you now is that it was 10 years in the making, and actually it wasn't an easy ride. There were so many ups and downs. There were so many times where I just wanted to give up and say, I'm not doing this. I think the day before I went to print, I really did have a wobble. One of my wonderful colleagues, Emma Carey, I phoned her and said to her, Emma, I don't think this book's good enough, and I'm not putting my name on it, I'm not doing it, I'm not doing it, I'm not doing it. She said, you don't have a choice anymore. But that imposter syndrome comes out every now and again, I think with everybody, and when we're talking about well-being, we need to be to consider that. But seeing these books around the Christmas trees, getting there was an amazing, amazing achievement. However, when I kind of opted out of Christmas that year, because my head was elsewhere, so when my children opened their presents on Christmas Day, Dad had spent far too much money, and I was not impressed at all. I was looking going, oh, isn't that lovely? I thought Christmas been very generous. Right, okay. But yeah, it was out there for Christmas, and it was an amazing, amazing feeling. When the next 2,000 books arrived and were dumped on the drive, that amazing feeling somewhat diminished in terms of how the hell am I going to get rid of these books? Note, I don't say sell, get rid of, because they take up an awful lot of space. Fortunately, the first 3,000 books went within 6 months. There was another print run, they've all gone. I have got 1,000 books sitting idly in my front room at this moment in time, so if anybody's got any idea how to make Sir the Cracker go viral, please do come, hashtag please do, please come and do that. So there was the amazing achievement, there was amazing joy and feeling that sat behind it. When these arrived, it was a bit of, oh, what do I do now? Where do I even start? But then, this is the joyous bit. Going into schools and reading this book to thousands and thousands of children, seeing the joy in their faces, seeing them revelling and reading, seeing them holler at Sir Cracker that we need to shout louder than a drum, you wear them on your bum, and every child likes to shout the word bum. But that was there. I think you can actually see, like, one of the first books that I ever signed, I didn't realise anybody was taking a picture of that, and I thought, actually, that is sheer joy. It's an absolute pleasure to bring that to children, and not just because I'm signing my name on it. The children absolutely love it, and I love performing it as well. And you can see the joy in faces here. And this little one here, this is my godson Robson, and he still does this a year and a half later, has Sir Cracker in his bed. He loves Sir Cracker, and you can't believe that his fairy godmother is a real life author. Okay. It wasn't easy. It really wasn't. However, one of the great things that I've been able to do of late is actually when people say, and they'll say to me, oh, I've got a really good idea for a children's story. My response is, just do it. I will sit down with you. I will tell you exactly not what to do. I'll tell you exactly what to do, the do's and the don'ts, and the absolute, and how to do it, and how to do it really quickly. And those of people who know me in the room will know that basically it takes me a long time to get up to the 5th or 6th step, and sometimes I'm in quite a bit of a shove in the right direction. But when I get to about here, this is when I start to fly. And it depends where you are on those steps, and it's recognising those steps. And let those people that you surround yourselves with, let them know where you are on this. Actually, I can get to here, but it's here that I need the help with. Or actually, I need your help to get to here. And I always used to think, it's only about the last 2 years really that I've realised that I don't have to do everything by myself, and that I can ask for help, and it's not a sign of weakness. And actually, since I've done that, the amount of things that have happened and the way in which I'm thriving with lots and lots of people, like Nexus Education, like Front Row, like Simon Hunt, like Emma Carey, like all those people that are around me that really support me to get there, to get, yes, I did it, and actually that's how I feel, yes, I did it, and then the next project starts again, and then I'm back down here. But that's another thing. Being able to share those pearls of wisdom has been an absolute joy. I'm not one of those people who go, oh, well, I'm a proud author and that's it. I want to share those, and the amount of people that have contacted me recently saying, I've got this idea, I've got this idea. I had a conversation at the Hunt household just before Christmas, I think it was, and Simon said to me, Anna, I've got this idea for a children's book, to which I responded, Simon, you can do this. Right. It took me 10 years. Simon's book was hot off the press last week. It took him a month and a half, and do you know what? There's a side of me that I'm so proud of him, and I'm so happy for him. But I'm a bit not. A month and a half, it's ridiculous. But anyway, I think we also need to give a round of applause to this wonderful big award for him. I've told him that if his book goes viral, then I'll never speak to him ever again. Okay. Very briefly, because I think you're looking, am I right? Okay. Very briefly, just to bring that into perspective. Yes, it's an achievement. Yes, I'm proud of it. I have to remind myself I'm proud of it. That my inner self and that inner self-praise is no praise, dear, is not a helpful inner voice to have. And when people say, you're an author, wow, you must be really proud. And I have to go, thanks. Yeah, I am. And I don't feel comfortable saying it. But I just think that we need to think about this. Like, when people have their own achievements, they see the tip of the iceberg. They see the top of that. They don't see all of this that's underneath. And we need to be aware of that, yes, when people have got been a great success, like Tottington is a great success, as we just heard with Stephen speaking earlier, that actually that's what people see. They don't see all the blood, sweat and tears that goes into it, and certainly a lot of tears from my end. Also, we have that little voice in our head. Well, I certainly do. Does anybody else have that little voice in their head that bobs up every now and again? Give me a wave if you've got that little imposter syndrome. Yeah, absolutely. And every now and again, it can take the wind out of your sails, and suddenly you're this really confident person, and then suddenly it's like, I can't do this anymore. And it's when you've got those people around you that are really, really key to bring you back up and say, you've got this, you can do this. And what people think it looks like is this. This is what it was like for Simon Hunt, by the way. Okay, that's what it was like for him. But actually, this is what it really looks like. And it's actually all those windy roads and learning from those mistakes that gets you to. It wouldn't be as fun, would it, if you didn't all plain sailing? But what it really looks like is that, and it's being able to roll with those punches. When Surrender Cracker was first arrived, this is how I felt, okay? However, there were lots and lots of feelings that were surrounding that up until the run-up of it. And actually, I didn't take care of my well-being in the run-up of it. And actually, I was very stressed out and really on very, very, energy depleted, very much so. So I'm going to talk a little bit about well-being, which is so ironic, about how you should look after your own well-being when I don't do mine, so I need to take my own advice there. But they talk about the 5 ways to well-being: to connect with people, to keep learning, to take notice, to give and be active. And they're the sort of the NHS guidelines surrounding it. However, we've all got our own wellness toolkit, and we need to think about what we need to put in our wellness toolkits to keep us going. And I think there are so many more ways to well-being than just these things. And some of those I'd like to share with you. And one of them is play. And I'm passionate about play, thank you. I'm passionate about play in the early years for our children. They need permission to play. Play is a happy talent to have. Albert Einstein says that play is the highest form of research. Albert Einstein, if we don't listen to anyone, we must listen to him. And we've got to make sure that we've got play for our children, but also, how playful are your lives? How are you making sure that you've got play in your lives to bring that happy talent? And that laughter is the best medicine. So, rather than me trying to be a stand-up comedian, because I'm really not, and I don't want to try and be funny, I'm going to pass that over to you. Have you all heard the game Would You Rather? Yes. Give me a wave if you know Would You Rather. Yeah, fantastic. Okay, I'm not going to make you come up on stage. I would like you, with your the people next to you, to tell them your best Would You Rather. Off you go. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I break up the party. But just to watch that joy and laughter in the room, and that feeling that you've got inside, probably that fire in your belly, that joy, that connection. Laughter is the best medicine, and we need to make sure that we're laughing every day, and even laughing in the face of adversity when things go really, really, really wrong. So laughter and play are absolutely key. The other one is this, and I'm going to ask for some audience participation in this. And some of you may be completely adverse to this, and if that's the case, that's fine. Just down your wine or something like that. It'll be fine. But anyway, we've got here the benefits of hugging. It's about health. It's about your mental. It's about your health. It's about your mental well-being and your social and emotional well-being. And some people just don't like hugs. Now I know a man that possibly doesn't like hugs. There, I'm not 100% sure. But hugging, the kind of the power of hugging is not to be underestimated. And I'm not suggesting that you walk around hugging all your colleagues. So I'd like to tell you a story, and I know he keeps on featuring really highly in everybody's speeches, but the first time I met Simon Hunt, he's not even listening. The first time I met Simon Hunt, I saw him, this really tall guy, said, "Oh, you're Anna Lucas, so nice to meet you." And he just didn't stop moving towards me. I thought, oh my God, what the hell is he doing? And I will hug people that I know. I will hug people that I've spent some time with, but he completely invaded my personal space and went straight in for the kill. But from then onwards, that's it. We've been best buds since. And some people really are averse to it. So you either love hugs like Mr. Hunt, or you either hate hugs. Oh no, here we go. Like Mr. Hunt. So what I'd like you guys to do now is, everybody, could you just stand up? But if you don't want to participate, you do not have to. You do not have to. You can shake hands with the person next to you. You can down a glass of wine, or you can just hug it out on the road. Okay, I only threw that in because the guys asked me whether I could speak for 20 minutes and I wasn't sure I could take it to the 20 minutes, so thanks for that. One of the ways to well-being, before we go, one of the ways to well-being is about giving, but what we've got to remember is that actually if we give too much of ourselves to people, then actually we can end up running on empty. We've got to look after ourselves first. And I'm the first person that would say yes, yes, yes to maybe people please, make sure everyone's okay, look after everybody. And actually sometimes it's about learning to say no, but actually that it's got to, your well-being has got to come first. You can't be helpful to anybody else unless your well-being is tip-top. And one of my very best friends, Kelly, who knows me very well, knows that I will do pretty much anything for anybody. And she sent me this birthday card. As it was her birthday, she told everyone that if they wanted anything doing today, they could contact her at sodoffanddoityourself.com. If anyone's easily offended, because I have covered up part of the screen, look away right now. But every now and again, it's about time to tell everyone to sod off and do it yourself. Sodoffanddoityourself.com, because you've got... Oh God, sorry guys, sorry. It's past 8 o'clock, isn't it? I'll move on. The other thing is here, Winnie the Pooh, you can't beat Winnie the Pooh, you can't beat Piglet. And just about that difficult day, and that Piglet was happy to sit next to Pooh on that difficult day. And basically what I want you to think about is, who are your piglets? Who are your piglets that will sit around you and listen to your difficult day, give you that advice, surround yourself by people who you trust, that you love and you care, and that will give you great advice. Also, check in on your best friend Pooh every now and again when he goes quiet, and check in on your best friend Piglet when they go quiet. Just check in. Are you all right? Pooh Bear, right, don't check in everything. Sorry. This is really key. What if I fail? Oh, but my darlings, what if you fly? And any idea that anybody's got, just absolutely go for it. If I can publish a book called Sir Undercracker, then, you know, the world's an oyster for absolutely anyone. So absolutely go for it. And if all else fails in terms of your well-being, I've heard that dipping chocolate in red wine is really good fun. So thank you very much, everybody.
Damien often refers to me as his poo throughout the day in the Nexus office, so I now know what he means by that. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Anna. And I don't have to follow that up, to be honest with you.
No, it definitely did resonate. I said at the start, I think it'll resonate with a lot of us. The step slide, that was the awards for us, I think, before it runs, and seeing it now from here, it's so much more calm, thinking, you know, we've got these great speakers.
Didn't we say last one, we're not doing that again?
Yeah, I think we did, and we'll probably say it. I think we said it in the lead up to this multiple times, but I've changed already.
Can I just give a shameless plug to Sir Undercracker? $6.99. Go and see Anna. It's honestly the best $6.99 you'll spend. It's joint best. Joint best this year. Joint best this year. Starting to fight now. But honestly, it's really, really good, and you should be really proud. And you've inspired me to write a book, even, which is I never thought I would do, and a lot of other people probably as well across the UK and beyond. So, well done.
His is $5.99, so it'll be the best $5.99.
$12.99. So, thank you very much for that. I think we've got to take something away from that, as Mike said. The sponsor for the next award, and we are getting towards dinner now, so we will speed up. The National Literary Trust couldn't be with us tonight, so they sent over a short video introducing the award and the winner. To give you a little bit of background, the NLT are an independent charity working with schools and communities to give disadvantaged children the literacy skills to succeed in life. I was really shocked to hear that on average, children from the poorest backgrounds start school 19 months behind other children. And as somebody who grew up, lived in, and now lives just outside one of the most deprived areas in Wales, that's something that really resonated with me, and it shouldn't hold children back. They shouldn't have their potential cut short before their lives have even really begun. This is something the NLT are looking to address through their hashtag Close the Gap campaign. So I'd encourage social media again. So I'd encourage you to have a look at that hashtag, get involved, and spread the love basically on social media.
So before we play the video, let's have a look at the nominees. So we have nominated for the Curriculum Improvement Award Nadine Finley, Andy Keegan, Abigail Hawkins, Jane Carter, Karenina McKay, Joe Denny, Andrew Jennings, Peter Harding, Amy Knight, and Rebecca Clark. And here is the Anna's hidden our...
Shameless plug again, Anna.
Yeah, she did that deliberately. Hidden our...
Glad you marked it, that's done now.
The honourable mention goes to Rebecca Clark and Andy Keegan. And then this is a video from the NLT announcing the winner.
Hello, this is Emily Best, Professional Development Manager at the National Literacy Trust. We were asked to judge the Curriculum Improvement Award, and we've chosen Nadine Finley's How Do You Get Your Class Excited and Engaged with their End Topic as the winning blog. The idea of a moment of awe and wonder when introducing a topic resonates strongly with the National Literacy Trust's own approach when it comes to reading for pleasure. And Nadine offered some really helpful, practical, and classroom-ready tips that teachers can use in their own practice.
So for those you couldn't hear, that was Nadine Finley is the winner, so congratulations, Nadine. So, carrying on with the theme, unfortunately, Nadine contacted us yesterday to say she had an emergency, she was unable to attend tonight. She's been a huge supporter of Nexus Education over the past 12 months, and she was hugely upset, but she's asked me to read this for her. So I'm sorry that I cannot be with you to receive this in person, but I'd like to say a huge thank you for this curriculum award. It's an absolute pleasure to have been included in this category with so many other knowledgeable educationalists. I have learned so much from them all. I strive to be a passionate teacher who cares deeply about providing the children with an inspiring curriculum that supports them developing to their full potential. I cannot believe that I've been awarded this, as it reinforces my underlying passion for education. Thank you very much. And we've got this here for you, Nadine, so don't worry, we'll get that over to you if you're watching on social media.
Yes, watching on social media. So moving quickly on to the next award. If Mike just click along.
Sorry.
We practiced like 1.5 times, so I think we've done all right so far, to be fair.
Yeah.
So next up, I'd like to welcome to stage another one of our next working partners, Mark Jowick from Front Row Junior, whose devices are actually helping power our speech tonight, and I hope you'll all agree it's been very clear, and they're all around the room here. Another shameless plug, but there we go. Thank you very much. A round of applause for Mark. It's bright. I know. It's glowing, isn't it? It's all down to powder. Okay, so tonight's award is potentially for Ben Harding, Caroline Keep, Jade Parkinson Hill, Gary Henderson, is that Janella McLaughlin, Sally Davis, Teresa Evans, Claire Lockie, Chris Hobbs, Andy Patton, Chris Hook, Dr. Joe, sounds great, Mr. Morgs as well, and an honourable mention to Caroline Keep. And the winner of the STEAM in the sector award goes to Dr. Joe Montgomery.
Carrying on the theme, Dr. Joe is currently hidden away in her lab in the middle of an important experiment. So we've got this video from her instead.
Hi, I'm Dr. Joe Science. I'm very excited to have won the Nexus Education STEAM in the Sector Blog Award. I'm coming to you from my secret science lab in Cambridge. I love helping teachers to bring science to life in the classroom, and blogging's a great way to reach more educators in the UK and beyond. I've been a primary school teacher, and I know how difficult it is to find time to fit everything in. So I wrote a blog to help signpost you to a range of helpful resources to support primary science in the classroom, in planning and assessment. If I can help further, do get in touch. And once again, thank you for this award.
There you are, Dr. Joe, if you're watching, we'll send your bubbly and your award over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Mark, and congratulations, Dr. Joe. So we're flying through these amazing nominees and award winners now. Next, I'd like to welcome up, you probably all know them, Rhiannon Challenger and Joe Reardon onto stage to introduce the Nqt Inspiration Award. Rhiannon and Joe are the closest to our So before I hand the mic over, Rhiannon and Joe are the closest to our teaching community at Nexus. Every day they're answering your queries and questions on social media, ensuring everyone's blogs get the scrutiny and attention and editing that they deserve. So we're going to step off the stage for once and not take the limelight, and we're going to hand the microphone over to the ladies.
Hi. Can I just say it's not the boys that have stolen the limelight. We don't like it, do we? We just let them do it. So can I just say, first of all, to do anything to do with blogging, community, I just want to say thank you so much. I know I'm like messaging you at like 10 o'clock at night, at like 7 o'clock in the morning, all day long. I just want to thank you. I thank you for everybody so much. You've done so much for us. I just think that people in this room have never met. It's amazing that they're friends already. People that get on, people support each other, and it's fantastic. So we're doing the Nqt Inspiration Award, and some of these blogs I don't think were particularly aimed for NQTs, but oh my gosh, they've had so much engagement and they're so helpful for everybody, not just NQTs. But this is the award we're doing. So
the shortlisted nominees are Ben Cooper, Mr. T's NQT Support, Simon Hunt, Mr. E, Hannah Francis, Adam Watkins, Jenny Ross, Sarah McCabe, and Dan Story. We have an honourable mention for Simon Hunt. And the winner of the Nqt Inspiration Award goes to Dan Story. Congratulations.
Stand back to here.
He's just took me joke then, I was going to say. Sorry that I'm here today. Sorry, I've got some lovely stuff up there. But thanks for this, I can't believe. I feel nervous. Scouts are coming up in Manchester. Oh, I'll take this, so it looks lovely, doesn't it? Yeah. No, I had a little speech. I remember putting on Facebook this week and I was saying, should I make a speech or not? Is it the Oscars? Should I start crying like Gwyneth Paltrow? I just don't know if it's the best thing to do. But I thought, best way to do is just thank people who've been involved in helping me with this blog. It's the first blog I've ever wrote. I'm quite proud of it, to be fair. I thought I'd just help teachers about a few jokes, a few of the funny stories that I've got in this lovely kids that I teach. I'd like to thank my Mrs. Emma, my fiancée, getting married this year. I don't think you've heard his name once tonight, Simon Hunt. There you go. Simon Hunt, thank him again. Everyone else, thank you. Round of applause for Simon Hunt. His wife Charlotte as well, because she proofread my vlog at the first time. And then thank you, by the way, for Nexus Education for giving me this chance to come here and get an award. I'm just very happy to be able to. Thank you very much. Take care. Oh.
So well done again there to Dan.
Oh, I don't need it. I've got two now. You can hear me twice.
Well done, Dan, and thank you very much to Rhiannon and Joe. Damien and I have been up here taking the limelight when really it's them who've been doing all the work behind the scenes to organise tonight, as well as the rest. Really, Damien and I just show up and read scripts, and that's it, with the faces of Nexus, but they're the hard work behind it. So thank you very much to you two as well. We couldn't do it without you. So next up, we have a poetry interlude from the eponymous Simon Hunt. We spoke about his quirky videos. So Simon, would you like to come up to the stage? And we'll start that. And then we'll be very shortly after.
I actually forgot about that. I really did. So back in November, I had to do a presentation for potential teachers, and I said to my kids, I need to do a 3 or 4 minute speech about being a teacher. What can we do? And they said, Mr. Hunt, you always say to us, we should write poetry all the time. You're always telling us, and you say it's a really good way of doing a lot of emotion within a short space of time. So that's what I've done. So I've used a bit of video from the past 3 or 4 years at Toppington to write poems. So it's only the second time I've read this, so I think you need to go in the light to see it. There we go. I completely forgot about this. I was too excited about the dance. There we go. Right, go on. So a poem about teaching, where to start. But once I began writing, it came from the heart. The role of a teacher is too long to list, so I do apologise if there's anything that I missed. The first few days you try to remember names and past places. There's so many little people and so many new faces. Different personalities and wide open eyes. You look at them and say, don't worry, we've got this, guys. From that day on, your routine was true. Every day you tell them there's nothing that you and you and you can't do. We're there in the morning to welcome them and say hi. We're there when they're happy, and we're there when they cry. We'll make them question, ask what if and why. We make it their duty and obligation to work hard and to try. Now, some children may find school a difficult place to be, but it's up to us to make them see that they are worth it, they have the world at their feet. Their hopes, dreams and aspirations, yes, they can reach. If they struggle at school, make it abundantly clear that it's okay to get things wrong, and there's nothing to fear. One lesson you could be singing, and the next dancing around. Next you could have peace and tranquility, not a squeak or a sound. Now, school trips, that is a military operation, and by the end of the day you will need meditation. Now, some days will be good, and some days will be an absolute mare. But your colleagues will be supportive and show that they care. Your TAs are worth their weight in gold. Our work, hard work and commitment is a sight to behold. The hardest part is the end of the school year. When they move on to the next class, you will shed a tear. Being a teacher is a privilege and honour each and every day because we get to teach the future of tomorrow and today. So to every child you have taught, I say thank you. Without each and every one of you, I don't know what I'd do.
Thank you so much, Simon. It's got me a bit emotional, so...
Sort of beauty is in the room,
yeah. Do bear with me if I...
Not name any names.
So, tonight we've obviously been celebrating all your hard work and everyone who's watching from home as well. So you all deserve individual awards. It's said often, but it's really true. Everyone in our community deserves an award for the time and effort that you give up for no reason. We don't pay people to blog for us. We don't give anything back other than this and the fact that you're sharing yourself. So it's really honourable what you're doing. So whilst we couldn't get you all a trophy, we do hope you enjoy a few drinks responsibly and some freshly baked pizza, which we will be getting to very shortly. Yeah, you can have yourself at the back of the room. We'll put the shutters up in a minute, and that'll be served.
If no one's seen the banner, we've actually got a stone bake, so it's all made to order, and it's a huge stone fire pizza oven at the back.
It is.
Flame, so it's worth it to have a look if it's not raining and flooded.
So these are freshly baked pizzas. It's not just us in the back with the microwave.
Loving the pizzas now, we're not on a commission. So just before we break, I'd like to remind you that tonight we're supporting the Educating Support charity, who provide mental health and wellbeing services to all education staff in schools, colleges and universities. Mental health and education is a topic which accounts for a large portion of our blogs online and school requests across the country at our events. It's probably actually in the surveys, about 10%, isn't it? Yeah, it's really important. We felt it was important to recognise this tonight. Education Support received over 9,000 calls last year from people in education seeking support. So your money we raised with the raffle will really be helping a worthy and clearly needed cause.
Do I do my Bob Geldof?
Yeah.
No, because your kids might still be watching.
Yeah, it's true. So the prizes, if you haven't seen them outside, they are an Emile Education Cuddly Toy, which I stole from an event, one of David's events before Christmas. A Nexus Education Hamper full of gourmet foods, a £70 Amazon voucher, and a signed copy of Anna and Simon's books. The £70 Amazon voucher was kindly provided by Joe Fitzgerald and the team over at Aiding Mental Health. So please come and see us and buy a ticket, go and see the girls out there, come and see any member of the team and we'll get you sorted, if you haven't already. If you have, come and get the law, because we want your money. Well, Education Support want your money, we don't want your money, to clarify So we're going to break to eat now, and we'll see you all in
about
45 minutes.
About 45 minutes.
Yeah.
So yeah, help yourself to pizza at the back. If you could
Thank
kind
you,
of
everyone.
stagger it slightly, just kind of go back to the table next row. Get the food. Oh, and if you want more drinks, just let us know as well at the back there. We'll get some more drinks out.
So I hope you all enjoyed the food and drink and are re-energised. If everybody is ready, I can hear a bit of talking over there. I don't want to be like a school teacher, but Mark Jarrett and Anna Lucas.
Sorry.
There we go, see? We're there, aren't we?
Well, your time, not.
So, I'm not sure this isn't right. Let's go for it, let's go for it. I don't know if this is right, but we'll find out in a minute. So next up, I'm pleased to welcome a huge supporter of Nexus Education and a blogger with whom hundreds of our community resonate with every blog she posts. I know that personally, Rhiannon speaks very, very highly, and I've read a lot of your blogs as well, and they just always do really, really well. I'd like to welcome Kate Knight. Mike's the prop.
Hang on.
Thank you. I don't have a PowerPoint, which is partly because I have an allergic reaction to PowerPoints from years and years of CPD, of people reading from the PowerPoint. It's not, it's because actually my computer didn't work. So what I have is a very long speech that I'm not going to use. Because on the way up here, I read it in my head and went, that's rubbish. And then I listened to everyone else talk and went, yeah, that's really rubbish. I'm going to talk about well-being. I'm going to talk about authenticity. I'm going to talk about self-care, and I'm going to talk about kindness. One of the first things I want to say is that I think kindness is given a bit of a bad press at the moment. Sometimes, particularly on social media platforms, we are allowed anonymously to be unkind, unpleasant, unprofessional. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm a human being. I have been unkind in my life, not least because I have 2 older brothers and they deserve it. But it's a human failing to be unkind. Don't get me wrong, I'm not stood here polishing my halo. But I do think we are in a job where it is actually our duty to model kindness. If we fail to do that, really we shouldn't be doing the job. And I know that's a controversial thing to say, and some people might disagree with me, but really grades, prospects for careers are nothing if we produce human beings that aren't capable of empathy and kindness. If what comes out at the end of school is a child that doesn't care about the person next to them, that won't stop and help, that won't connect with the world around them, then we have failed. And I don't care what their grades are. And that is controversial, I know, because we have to measure everything today. And it's really hard to measure kindness. It's really hard to say, well, that's the kindest thing, and you've got 10 out of 10 in kindness. And one thing I find more and more is people go, well, where's the research for your kindness? And I'm like, well, I don't have a lot of research for the kindness, but I do have research for cruelty. Do you want to look at the people who have not been kind in the world? Because there's a huge list of them. Honestly, kindness is free. Let's make it the currency of our classrooms. Let's make it the currency of our staff rooms. Let's be kind. If all you do is make a conscious effort to be more kind, if every single teacher did that, we are unaware of the huge power and influence that we have. Every single one of you that comes into contact with teachers, with students, with people in education, with people who write for education, with people who support education, with people who sell to education, you all influence. Make your influence good. Make it positive, make it kind. And if you do that, I genuinely believe that one drop can make a puddle, which makes a stream, which makes a river, which makes an ocean of change. And I think it's really important that we do that. So that's my first little impassioned rant. My second was that as I was driving up the motorway, by the way, I'm going to start some podcasts about British driving. Nobody understands the overtaking lane. Seriously. I drove on the M62 and there's people in the inside lane and they're overtaking and people in the outside lane and I'm like, you're doing 50 in the outside lane! Get out the outside lane! Sorry. But as I was driving along, I noticed signs everywhere and they said, queues ahead, 40. And they flashed. And I watched all these diligent drivers go, ooh, 40, slow down, there might be queues ahead. And by slowing down and driving at 40, they created queues. It was self-prophesizing. There weren't actually any queues ahead. I was looking at my sat-nav, I'm going, it's blue, there aren't any queues. And then they go, there's signs going, cameras, people are watching you. We're watching you. Cameras. And so everyone's like, oh God, there are cameras, people might be watching me. And so they slow down even more. Again, self-prophesizing. There are no cameras. I have a sat-nav, it tells me there's no cameras. So I'm there yelling over the radio going, there are no cameras! It's a national speed limit! Get out the outside lane! Don't do 40. Think for yourselves. Have a little autonomy. Buck the system. And I thought that analogy can be applied to teaching sometimes. We believe what we're told. We advocate our own message. We endorse our own message. If the message that we give is that teaching is drudgery, if the message we give is that teaching is too hard, teaching is miserable, if that's the message we give, that is the message that happens. Simon was saying it earlier. We become what we are every day. We become the happy person or the sad person. But more importantly, it's not so much happy or sad, it's about talking up teaching. It's about telling people that you are part of the best profession in the world. And if you want to know anything more about that, go to China, where they have 7 solid days dedicated to celebrating teachers. I'm thinking we should introduce it. I'm going to write to the government. Obviously, they're going to listen to me. So now I'm on to the main bit of the speech, which is ASK. It's my little acronym, ASK. So, just very quickly, how many people in this room, when they're struggling and they're having a really bad week and there's so much going on and life is really tricky, how many people ask for help? Be honest. How many people actually ask for help? Put your hands up. Right. Okay. How many people get slightly annoyed without asking for help, but nobody helps them? Yeah. All right. So, as far as I'm aware, we haven't developed the skills of telepathy. It's this amazing thing. Sometimes you have to open up. Sometimes you have to go, do you know what, I'm going to be the first one to stand forward and go, you know what, yeah, I'm struggling. And it's really tricky because you don't want to be the person that admits that actually your washing isn't done and you haven't hoovered and sometimes you go home, climb into bed with your clothes on and hug the cat. That's just me. But we have to. We have to start doing it. We have to start saying, do you know what, that's okay. That's all right. It's all right to feel like you want to cry sometimes. It's all right to feel like it's all a bit much. It is all right to feel like you haven't got a clue what you're doing. Because I'm telling you right now, the head teacher walking confidently down the corridor, he or she looks around and goes, oh my God, I'm in charge. Every now and again, they go, really? Someone let me do this job? Ah! Right? It's true. I stand in classrooms and they go, well, who's in charge? And I look over my shoulder. And I go, oh no, that's me. We have imposter syndrome and everybody questions whether they're good enough. And actually you should. Because I always said to myself, if I ever get to the point where I think I'm good enough, I will leave teaching. Purely because it's never ending. You can always be better. So authenticity, I think, is what I'm trying to say. Find out who you are. Find out what is important to you. What are your core values? What are the things that you if you had to place something above anything else in your school, what would it be? Is it getting top marks? Or is it being aspirational for who you are? Is it being nice to everybody? Or is it knowing when kindness is appropriate? Look for the core values for you as a person. And your leadership team should look to that too. And what they will find is some commonality. And when they find that, they have the core values for their school. And the kids will lap that up. And every behavioural trick in the book will not work any better than kids fully understanding the value of their school. Because if one of your values is respect, and something happens on the playground and you go, what are our core values? The kid goes, respect, love and kindness. Right, were you being respectful? No. Were you being loving? No. Were you being kind? No. You don't have to go, well that is a contravention of Behaviour Code 42, section 33C, and because of that, you will automatically be sent to the sectioned room where you will sit on your own for 45.5 minutes. Okay, we don't have to do that. Kids need simplicity, so do we. Make it simple. Choose 3 or 4 core values. Find out what they mean to you and live by those every day. Everything you do in your classroom, live by your values. And if you do that, the kids will love you, you'll love your job, the school will love you, it'll all work out. Authenticity. Self-care. Gosh, I'm terrible at this. I talk about it a lot. I talk about self-care a lot. I used to think that self-care was going and having a manicure. Or, going to the spa. But then I used to stress about that because it meant shaving my legs. And so actually it wasn't really self-care, it just stressed me out. And the manicure thing stressed me out as well because I used to have to sit there and I didn't actually like sitting still for that amount of time, making awkward small talk with someone while they took a hacksaw to my fingernails. So self-care, actually, interestingly, is a really misunderstood thing. It is different for everybody. For some people, self-care is reorganising your sock drawer. Yeah, it is. For some people, self-care is saying, I'm going to switch off my computer and I'm going to go home when the bell goes. And actually, I'm not going to feel guilty. For some people, self-care is knowing that you do the best you can. And that, no, you might not have succeeded in every possible way, but you did your best. And congratulating yourself for that. So, self-care is really complex, I think. And again, it involves you doing a little bit of introspection. Thinking about what's important to you. Finding out your core values again, I suppose. But the one thing I will say right now is self-care that makes you feel guilty for taking self-care is not self-care. That's called self-punishment. Don't do it. If you feel bad about caring for yourself, then you are not caring for yourself. Okay? You need to be able to take self-care and feel okay about it. In the same way that everybody around you needs to as well. And we also need to stop judging. We need to stop looking at the person who rushes out at 3:15 and thinking, well, I don't rush out at 3:15. I'm here every night putting up displays. Because we don't know what they do. We don't know if they go home and they're a carer. We don't know if they go home and look after a partner with severe depression. We don't know. We don't know what their priorities are. We don't know what their self-care routine is. Ours might be different. So, authenticity, being yourself, finding out what that means. Self-care, actually looking after yourself. Kindness. And here I think I come to something that if there was one thing I could teach every child, every human, it would be kindness. And I know that sounds a bit like a Miss World speech. I really want world peace. But I do think kindness should be something that is just prevalent everywhere. It should ooze out of classrooms. It should be something that spills out into our communities. It should be something that we are the centre of, the hub, the beating heart of kindness. Schools are the perfect breeding ground for it. Because young people actually, believe it or not, aren't inherently evil. They might seem like it, but they're really not. They're genuinely born quite pleasant, most of them. One or two. I've got one or two that have been on Crime Watch. I spotted them really early, by the way. I was like, he's one. But most kids are good. Most kids are just wanting to be happy. Most kids just want to have fun. And I think the other thing that kindness can bring to a school is fun, actually. A bit of silliness, a bit of daftness. I once had a beautiful assembly given for me when I left my very first teaching post, and I was the head of performing arts, and the kids, it was in a middle school, so they were 11, 12, 13, and the kids put on this performance for me. It was 45 minutes that they had directed themselves, so you can imagine. It was delightful. I blame myself. But no, it was wonderful. They'd written poetry, they'd done a little video, they'd put a choir together, they sang, there were pop items, there were classical items, it was marvellous. Lots of people cried. And as we were walking out, one of the TAs came up to me and she went, Kate, that is a real testimony to how much they love you. And a colleague of mine went, it's not a popularity contest. And you know when you think, sometimes I'm never good at the comebacks that I need at the right moment. I always think of them when I'm driving home. I never say them, but this time I had it, and I turned around and I went, you're absolutely right, Catherine, but why anyone would want 350 kids to hate them is beyond me. At which point she went, they've got to hate someone. And I went, good job you're here then. Oh! Not kind, sorry, but probably actually disproved what I was saying there. But what I thought to myself was that she was a teacher who went out of her way to make kids hate her. She was one of those teachers who just loved kids to hate her. She was unkind to children, constantly. And I never understood it. I was like, I just don't understand why people go into teaching in order to make children miserable. What is that? Bizarre. But she did, and I couldn't quite work it out. And I took an approach of kill them with kindness, which is the motto that my mother has instilled in me from birth. Kill them with kindness, which kind of worked until middle school when someone tried to punch me in the face, and killing them with kindness just was ineffective. But killing people with kindness actually isn't as stupid as it sounds. If you are kind, it is very hard for people to take you down. For one really important reason. You know you have done the right thing. You know that you are a good person. If you're kind, beyond anything else, then you're doing okay. So, authenticity, self-care, kindness. It's not a perfect recipe. It's not SLANT or LEAN or any of those other acronyms that mean sit up straight and look at the front. It is just my way of thinking about what we can do to be a bit happier. And I look around the room and I see people whose job it is to be that special and important person to someone. You might not even know who that kid is. They might not ever tell you that you're the special and important person, but you are. And I think what I'm trying to say is, thank you, first of all, for looking after the people who are vulnerable. Thank you for the kindnesses that you already show. You make a massive difference. You really do. I, from a personal point of view, want to say thank you, because I came back to the UK not feeling particularly like I wanted to be here, and people were immensely kind to me. The Nexus group were immensely kind to me, and actually, it has made a difference. It will make a difference. So, if you want to ask for help, start with ask. Authenticity, self-care, kindness, and then when you've got that bit sorted, stand up and ask. Stand up and ask for help, because there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And if more of us do it, then actually we will find we're all in the same boat. We're all fighting the same fight. We all want the same outcomes. We are not on opposing sides. Doesn't matter what your style in the classroom is. You're all brilliant.
Thank you, Kate. Mr. Hall, that's fine. I know we're happy with
I
that.
can definitely see why you got an award earlier, Kate.
Remember, I'm on the right.
Sorry.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kate. It was brilliant. Can someone help me, please, do the rest of this?
We are running over a little bit, so we're going to rush through the next bit. Yeah, we're going to fly through so we get you all off here and have a drink.
Yeah, so Damien and I will be presenting the next award because it's for our provider, Next Working Provider of the Year award. But before we do...
Everything we do, just to reiterate, is completely free for schools, just like the awards evening's free tonight. Next Working, for those of you who aren't aware, is a free platform we do. We work with groups of schools around the UK. We've worked with about 800 schools to date. We've got about another 900 schools in the next 12 months we're going to be working with. And basically, the free, it's like speed networking. We survey the schools, we find out their interests, what they're struggling with, and we match them up to solutions. Rather than me rabbiting on, we have a video. I think you've got 2 clicks to go through. There we go. Again, from Simon, who has disappeared.
I love finding out about new tech and ideas when attending events like BET and finding out about what products and services are out there. I recently met Damien Challenger, who is the co-founder of Nexus Education. As well as their free online blogs that they provide, they also host something called a Next Working event. Now, a Next Working event is a free way of schools and providers meeting each other to see if they can help each other out. The best bit is that they also give £1,000 back to the school or cluster for hosting the event, which is brilliant, I think. And when Damien explained the overview, I thought the best way to fully understand sort of how it works was to actually attend one of their events. And recently I got to go one a couple of weeks ago, and I got to see how it works and also speak and chat to a few people while I was there.
Email there in the hamper.
During the event, I had a few minutes to speak to Damien to talk about Nexus Education and about what they do and what they provide.
My name's Damien, I'm one of the co-founders of Nexus Education. Nexus Education is a platform enabling teachers, educators and school leaders to share ideas, best practice and CPD via our online blogs portal and our Next Working sessions, which you can see running behind me. Next Working is a free format for schools. And basically what we do is we work with you to work out what your issues are in your school, what you're interested in procuring, and any pain points you may be having. These can be whole market. It's not EdTech specific, it's not literacy specific, it's everything. As you see today, we've got 6 great providers, and they are meeting schools where we've identified that they will provide a great solution. So while we're at the table, they spend 14 minutes in a speed networking environment, and they'll rate the providers on their pitch, on their product, and importantly, the potential impact in their school. After the session, we collate all of that data and we send it in a report to the school. So it aids group procurement, gives you an insight into the needs of your schools, and it helps you go to these providers and get a good discount, which is what we're all here for, to save time and money. A big part of what we do is we donate of our profits from a session back to the school group, and this enables you to reinvest into products and services you see on the day and as you see fit. So far we've donated back over 20% of our revenue back to schools since September 2018. We're on a mission to donate £100,000 back to schools before 2021. And after this school year, we're going to be around about 45% of the way there, which we're really proud of.
I also managed to grab a few minutes with a few providers, and I spoke to Ruth, who explained what it's like for her side. from a provider's point of view at one of these networking events?
I'm Ruth Middleton, I work for Firefly. This is the second Nexus event that I've been to. I find them really useful because it's an opportunity to have a direct one-on-one dialogue with schools. Unlike exhibitions that we go to, where people can avoid you and not come and talk to you and don't realise what you do, it's an opportunity for us to have open conversations and just engage with them and understand what their priorities are. So as much of it's feedback for us as it is for them learning about what's out there.
Probably the most important point of view is that of the actual attendees that were there at the time. So I got to speak to Amanda, who's been to a few networking events before, and who was there during the day and during the time that I was there as well.
Hi, I'm Amanda Gifford. I'm from the grammar school at Leeds and currently working as head of year in the primary section. I look into these events. There's lots of different organisations which I find completely informative and very beneficial. Therefore, I can take the information back to the school and sometimes implement those ourselves. I will definitely come back to one of these events, and I've been to previous ones in the past and always found them very worthwhile.
I've been to lots of events where you kind of, when you just kind of walk past a stand and you're not quite sure what they do, they don't get a chance to speak to you. And the way the networking event works is it's like a speed dating session. You get time with each product and service and provider. You just get that time to speak to them and for them to speak to you as well, because you might actually find that what they are offering might be perfect for your school, but you've just never had that conversation before, or you didn't know that that service was available for you. And I just think it works really, really well. But best of all, the fact that Nexus are actually giving back money to schools is just a really wonderful thing to see, because budgets are tight, and the fact that this happens, I just think is a great thing for schools and for Nexus to do as well. So thanks, Nexus. I'm going to leave you with a little message from Damien. If you want to find out a little bit more about how it works and be directed to their website, I'll leave some information right at the end, because I got to speak to Damien just before I nipped off back home.
So to find out more about Nexus Education, visit our website, which is www.nexus-education.com, or you can also follow us on social media at Nexus Ed UK.
So hopefully that gives you a little bit more input and, well, not input, that's the wrong word, isn't it? A little bit more what's the word? Idea. An idea on how we actually fund all of the money we're giving back to schools and what we're doing. At that point, I know it seems like we've done a lot of Simon tonight. At that point, Simon was independent, he's not now. So that was a true, am I right to attest to the true version? No pressure. And the only query I have is that he didn't tell me I was going to be interviewed, and my hair's awful, my jacket's awful, my suit's awful, but that's fine, it's fine. Bags under my eyes, thank you, Rhiannon, but that's all good.
So the reason why we showed you that video, A, to give you a bit of an insight into what networking the side you might not have seen if you're a school that works with us, but also to explain that the schools you saw there, the teachers that were there rating the products, we didn't judge this next award, it was those. We used their rating, we collated it from over the year to look at all of our providers, and it is completely impartial, it's based on what their scores are. So it made it, again, easy for us. We didn't really do much for this one as well, running a theme of the night. And so with that in mind, here are the nominees for our Next Working Partner of the Year.
We have OnView Learning, Playforce, Impero, Firefly Learning, Blue Apple Education, CPOMS, Britannica, Discovery Education, Front Row, Juno, Easy Trip, Mighty Writer, Access Group, Parent Apps, MTM Consulting, the Outward Bound Trust, Create Education, Crick Software, and Towergate. Now, it's not an exclusive list, is it? We've had a lot more suppliers than that. This is up to a certain point, isn't it?
It was from the awards up to when we started.
October.
Yeah, basically.
So, honourable mention for Parent Apps and Impero. And the winner of the Next Working Partner of the Year award goes to CPOMS. Well done, guys.
Just grab your...
I think the quality of this year's come up. The quality of this year's workshop providers has been really high. I've had over 50 workshop providers, and your score was actually an average, and I'm going to give this out right now because it's fine, it's really impressive, of 3.97 out of 5 from the 9 groups that you met. So which averaged around about 150 schools. Yep. So really, really impressive. Again, I'm sure a lot of these people here use CPOMs, so I'll give it the microphone.
Thank you. First of all, thank you very much. I'm really tempted to come up and do the dance from the video earlier, but I thought I'd best not do that. But yeah, thank you for all your support and the good feedback that you give us. And yeah, thank you very much. Keep CPOMing. Cheers. Thank you very much.
So before I introduce our final speaker for tonight, I'd just like to say a massive thank you to our headline sponsor. And I know it's unorthodox to say this perhaps at the end of the event, but our headline sponsor is One Education. They have a very close ethos to our own. We've actually only connected pretty recently, but it's been very obvious that what we're doing aligns closely. So we were keen to work with them for this, and they've been a real big hand and helped make this happen tonight. So if you could put your hands together for One Education. So One Education has been empowering school leadership teams and teachers to enhance the quality of education for young people since 2011. And we're going to get Joe on stage shortly, but I highly recommend you check them out.
The applause is a bit premature. I'm going to do a nice introduction now. So, Joe is One Education's Head of School Development and Literacy, an STA accredited moderator for Manchester, and a former Deputy Head Teacher. In her role as Head of School Development and Literacy, she works across early years, Key Stage 1 and Key Stage 2, delivering leadership support, whole school curriculum support, and bespoke packages to meet the needs of schools and pupils. Without any further ado, please join me in welcoming Joe Gray to the stage.
Thank you very much. I was feel free mercy. Apologies, I have already taken my shoes off, so I am doing this barefooted. And I also apologise, although it may be a good thing for you guys, that I wasn't told until yesterday that I needed a PowerPoint, so it's quite short, or that it was 20 minutes long, so it may be slightly shorter. However, I can go off on a tangent, so it may not be. But I'll try and be as quick as I can so you guys can get to the pub. I'm going to talk to you tonight about collaboration across your school, and I'm hoping that what I say resonates with a lot of you, and I personally think it is a really important message, and I hope you guys agree at such a late time on a Friday night. So, education is changing. My son, the other night, asked Alexa to do his homework for him. I'm not joking. I wish I was joking, but I'm not. So we were sat at the dining room table, and he's in year 2, so we're on mixed maths questions at the moment, because obviously SAT's coming up. Whether you agree with it or not, it's one of those things. And he was stuck on one of the questions. So I said, come on, Isaac, think of all the different methods that you know. What can you do? And he stopped. They could see the cogs turning, and then he literally went, oh, Alexa, what's 1/4 of 48? So my first reaction was to shout, Alexa, stop. But then it got me thinking, education is changing. When I was in the classroom, my children used to ask all the time to Google different things, different facts, and Isaac does it all the time as well at the moment. Most recently it was, how large are the small intestines? And where I'd have had to get an encyclopedia, and if it wasn't in the encyclopedia, go to the library, look in the books in the library, and find a simple fact for my homework. They've got this information at their fingertips. It is so quick to find out these answers. And it's just the way in which things are changing. The envelope here is to remind me of another little story recently. We were on our way home from school. I've just come back off maternity leave, so I get to do I'm doing 4 days a week at the moment. It's really nice. I'm taking him to school on a Monday. So walking home from school on Monday, and he said to me, Mummy, do Do you know in the olden days, they posted letters just to say like hello or something and you didn't get a reply back? You didn't just send them at Christmas and postcards, because that's obviously all we use the post for. He said, can you imagine that? And my first thought was, I am not that old. There is no way that I am having my childhood classed as in the olden days. But I can understand the world that we grew up in is absolutely no way near to the world that they are growing up in because of the way in which education is changing. So because of that, collaboration is becoming more and more important, and I'll talk you through my reasoning for why I think collaboration is so important. We need to reimagine how we do education, and by that I don't just mean changing the topic titles, rejigging the QCA units, which I am still seeing, even though we're 6 years into the new national curriculum, the 2014 national curriculum. The schools I'm going into are, some schools are doing amazing things, but there are some schools who are afraid of change and they don't want to be seen doing anything that is outside of the box. But there needs to be a move away from some of these traditional systems. We need to have an education reform on a bigger scale. Some schools are doing this, but they're doing it more so in isolation than as a whole. And when I say an education reform, I mean as a whole, all of our schools together. You guys here are probably preaching to the converted. You're here on a Friday night, you collaborate with other educators. You are those schools that are doing this already. You're blogging, you're tweeting, you're actively attending CPD, you're sharing good practice, whether that be good practice for yourselves and improving your practice or helping others to improve their practice. You're co-teaching, you're coaching, you're mentoring, you're talking, and all of this is crucial in stirring the educational landscape into the new 21st century that we need for our children. So, what is the future for our children? I actually stopped writing what I was originally going to write this week when the awful news of the celebrity taking her own life this week, it really affected me this week. I've not been able to get it out of my head. I've been thinking about it a lot, and the impact that social media and the online trolls have had to make a young lady take her life is awful. And whilst you may think that that doesn't directly impact education, yes, it doesn't. However, in so many ways it does. The future for our children is massively connected to social media, technology, phones, and whilst Isaac, who's 7, hasn't got a phone yet, he actually has my old Nokia that has no charger and he walks around pretending he's FaceTime with his granddad. But he doesn't have a phone, but some of my friends' children do. Recently, one of my friend's daughters, she's in year 5, she's just turned 10. During the summer holidays, she had an awful experience where she was pretty much bullied through WhatsApp. Now, her mum monitors everything that she does on her phone. She only has classmates on her phone, and this was picked up with the school after the summer holidays. It's been sorted now, but she's still feeling the effects of that 6 months later. She's having counselling paid for by the school, and she's 10 years old, and this is from there are other mental health concerns there, but the majority of it has come from what happened over the summer on WhatsApp. Now, this isn't a one-off standalone case. 48% of an increase in mental health concerns from 2004 to 2017 when the research was completed is what's happening for our young children, and of that 48% increase, only 1 in 4 children are actually getting the support that they need on the NHS, again because of funding. And this is something that we didn't come into teaching to tackle this sort of thing, but this is the reality that we are in. The way in which education is changing is meaning that this is where we are. The changes are meaning that technology is going at a much faster rate than we've ever known before, and it's something that we need to think about when we are thinking about the 21st century and what we want to teach our children, how we want to shape our curriculum. This, it links back to what Kate was saying before. It's a quote that somebody shared with me this week, and I think it resonates with all of us. Yes, we need to be aware of the academic ability of our children. We have a lot of accountability, but you know your children. What we decide to teach in our curriculum shouldn't be based on the intent, implementation and impact based on organisations or what anybody else tells you to put in your curriculum. It should be about what you know your children need, not what anybody else tells you. We need to try to remember that these things, to teach them to sit with those sitting alone, teaching them to be kind, to teach them to offer help to others, to be a friend to the lonely, to teach them to encourage others, teach them to think about other people, to share, to look for the good, will help them or help them to change the world. Because the world that we are living in at the moment, if it carries on with the impact of social media, for some children, without that support, may become the 48% will increase. Now, I am not saying don't let your children use social media. I am a little bit obsessed with social media, I'm not going to lie. But it's the way in which it's done. It needs to be taught as a skill for the children, and they also need to be able to understand how to deal with this. And I've gone off on a tangent because I'm supposed to be talking about collaboration, and I am. I will get back on track, I promise. But what we need to be able to do is collaborate and get together to be able to deliver this message, because it's too big a job for us to do on our own. The curriculum, obviously, we've had a lot said at us about the curriculum, and there's a lot of people who are changing the curriculum because of other organisations. And what we need to remember is who feels that it's the right thing to do. Is it you, or is it another organisation? There's been loads said about workload, and I agree, workload needs to be tackled. There's a lot of excess work that goes on in teaching, but when we are looking at workload, we need to remember why we are doing this. What is the reason behind it? We are putting our children first. We want at the forefront of all of our decisions. So, in terms of collaboration and our curriculum, I think we need to think long and hard about the way in which we are tackling this and look at how we can reduce our workload through collaboration. So if you are working with a group of schools, why not share the load, collaborate with the literacy lead down the road. There's no point in you creating a policy and then creating a policy. When you're writing something on the same sort of thing, you might as well do this together. Teams for subjects in schools, that's a thing that a lot of people are doing at the moment, and it's just about sharing that workload so that you guys can focus on you and your school. There are barriers to collaboration. When I was in Nqt, I had lots of ideas, and I thought I was the best teacher in the school. Now, I got my booklet, and I'm just going to pick up my notes because I'm feeling like I'm getting a little bit lost and off track for 1 second, sorry. So, I created a 10-page booklet for the children and parents who would be starting my class the following year, and the deputy head came to find me after this had gone out to all of the children in the school, in the class. Sorry, I was, so the deputy head came to find me, and I'm really, really sorry. And basically, the deputy head came to find me. I'm going to have to sit down because I feel really lightheaded. I don't know if it's alright. Yeah, is that okay? I'm so sorry, guys. Oh. And I don't normally get like this either. So I was enraged because the deputy head came to find me after I had given out this booklet to all of the parents, and he, I'm going to just read it, I think that'll be the best thing to do. So, in my Nqt year at the school that I described, that I've spoken about, I created a 10-page booklet for the children and parents who would be starting in my class for the following year, and I organised several transition mornings for the children to come and visit me. When the deputy head came to find me after school to speak about it, I immediately thought that I would be praised. Instead, I was told I needed to think about what I sent home to the parents, if it was a new idea, and how I hadn't got the full consent from SLT. I had cut consent from my line manager at the time, but he'd asked me to share the resources with the rest of the school, and I was enraged. The thoughts swarmed around my head, but that's my work. I spent hours creating that, and I shouldn't have had to share it with others to copy. I wanted to take the credit, and it didn't take me long to see the errors in my ways. Teaching was not a competition. I had started my career wanting to show that I could be the best teacher in the school, rather than wanting to work together and improve the education for all children within the school. My mindset had to change. And when I left that school as a deputy head, I had changed completely. The mindset that I now have and that I had when I finally left the school was that was that sharing and learning from each other is invaluable. This example is obviously an individual level, but collaboration between all levels of individual school, groups of schools is really important. And we should see collaboration as a journey which we'll all embark on together. As you get further upon the journey of collaboration, you'll continually assess and refine approaches to ultimately gain a view of how collaboration works most effectively in your school. The other barriers that you may face when collaborating is threats to school autonomy, perceived power imbalances, additional workload, or difficulties in establishing shared objectives and common goals. But these barriers can be addressed if your collaboration is carefully constructed. In my role as Head of Development, Head of School Development and Literacy at One Education. I have, believe it or not, sat on the floor right now, experience supporting a range of schools and collaborations in many forms, from individual to into schools, to multi-academy trusts, Catholic school partnerships, and what I have found with all of the schools that I have worked with and across partnerships is that as long as you are aware of the barriers that may come up in the collaboration, then you will be prepared. That this next slide has come from a longer blog on Nexus, thank you, which you'll be able to read on Nexus itself, but I've just got the top 10 tips for collaboration. So putting children first in every decision you make as part of the partnership is number one. You be that between two teachers, an entire staff, multiple schools, or a network of schools. Putting children first should be the main priority in any decision that you make. Keeping hold of your vision throughout the partnership and finding colleagues or schools that share your overarching values. If you have the same values, it makes it much, much easier. Be honest and hold others to account. It can be hard to do so, but please don't agree with someone despite you thinking it could be better, just to avoid tricky conversations. We need to remember all the time we are putting children first. Decide on what the aims of the partnership are. Are they to improve the curriculum, well-being, moderating writing, improve teaching, improving leadership? You need to be on the same page with this. If one partnership thinks they're improving one thing and another partnership thinks they're working on something else, this can be tricky. For any involves more than two people, you need to ensure that somebody is there to coordinate and lead the organisational side of the partnership. We need to decide on, so number 6 on the next slide is to decide on the partnership model and how long the collaboration will last. Is it short term, long term, indefinitely? Have a formal agreement about the things that you share, so data, finances, CPD. Ensure all in the partnership feel equal. There will be individuals who have different capacities and expertise. All schools should be expected to contribute to something and have something to gain. Number 9, decide on how you will implement a method of monitoring so that you know that your collaboration is working. And finally, you need to be confident in the advice and knowledge at offer. If there is no expertise in either of the school or within the partnership, then you need to look for external providers. And if holding each other to account is the trickier part, then look into having an external provider help you with this. I've seen partnerships fall down because you haven't had somebody to hold people to account within. And this says, and as I said earlier, which I didn't because I missed it out, but One Education can provide that emotional support for you. We can help you find your network. If you are teaching and you are in isolation and you don't feel that you have got a team around you to support you, then please do pick up the phone, email us. We are there to help support you. The job of preparing our children for unknown future is too big for one person alone. In schools and much, much wider, we need to teach our children and their families to connect, to listen, to understand, to be resilient, and to take care of themselves and others, and to be kind. Whichever way you and your schools decide to go with collaboration, one thing is certain: education is changing. The job of schools, however you look at it, has changed so much in the last decade. The school's responsibility for the education of the child goes way beyond the statutory objectives in the national curriculum. So tonight, tomorrow, and for as long as needed, let's continue to help create a world for our children that we can be proud of. The speech has ended there, but I just want to say thank you. What actually happened is I think I've just had a panic attack whilst talking to you. So that doesn't normal, not happen at all. So I appreciate the support and I really apologise. So thank you very much.
There's no need for apologies whatsoever there. Damien and I have had it easy because we've got the speeches up here. We can read through it. So we kind of put you on the spot, Joe, there, and not give you the same facility. So thank you so much. It was great. It was
Never in front of people like that.
Well,
it was great.
We supposed to add to it. If you can stay on stage for 2 minutes. We're supposed to stay on stage, invite the rest. Well, we don't want to. No, we don't want to do that. We're going to skip ahead a little bit and ask you to introduce the final award of the evening, which is the Blogging Excellence Award. A little bit of support here for you as well from the rest of the team. You told me not to say that.
It's our headline award of the night and the final award before we close proceedings.
What is it? Okay. So we are, it says good evening, we are One Education, as you're already aware. We have judged the Blogging Excellence Award. So the shortlist nominees are Ben Cooper, Nadine Finlay, Caroline Keep, Naomi Clyde Roberts, is that Maya Pritchard, Adam Watkins, David Winfield, Charmaine Roche, Derek People, Ronaldo Lawrence. And we have an honourable mention for Nadine Finlay and Adam Watkins. And the winner of the Blogging Excellence Award goes to... Oh, thank you. Ben Cooper.
Ben's got a very good excuse for not being here tonight. He's in Dubai. He works over in UAE. So Dubai, very easy decision, I think. However, yeah, exactly, sun or flooding. We're going to need an ARC soon. But we do have a video from Ben, which I'll get, and we will close up proceedings and head to the pub.
Ben from Rhiannon Teaching here. I hope you're having a really great night at the Nexus Awards up in Bury, not too far from my old stomping ground. Thank you very much for the award. It's an honour and a privilege to be receiving this award. It's my first ever award, so thank you very much. It's nice to be recognised for the things that you write about. And actually to know that people just generally like what you do, because I'm sure with everybody that was on the list tonight, all the bloggers out there, you write very passionate about what you write about, but you're not very sure what people are going to think of when you post it out there, or whether it's going to actually be helpful. So it's really nice to be recognised that what you're doing is worthwhile. So thank you very much. Apologies for not being there. Obviously, I work in the UAE and it's difficult sometimes to get back home. I would love to have been there, but hopefully when I'm back in the summer we can catch up with some of the fantastic bloggers and people that are attending the event. So please let me know when I'm back in the summer. I'd love to catch up with you guys. Thank you once again for the award. Oh, and Robin just wants to say thank you as well. Come on. She wants to say hello too. Say thanks, Robin. Thank you very much and have a good evening. Bye.
So, Ben, if you're watching this now, we're going to end watching it. I don't think we can send this to the UAE, so we'll save this till you're
we'll have this at Oysters in a minute.
Yeah. No, we'll save it till he's here with us. To close the night up, it's time for the raffle. Any last-minute buyers for a strip for...
There's no pressure, come on. We have an auction, come on.
So I should announce that we're going to match fund whatever is donated, so if that encourages anyone else.
Just keep it low.
Going on, okay. So thanks to the raffle sponsor again, Aiding Mental Health. We have a £70 Amazon voucher as our first prize. Second prize is a gourmet hamper. And third prize, a classic cuddly toy. And we've also got the books from Simon and Anna as well, signed. So we'll draw those books first. If Joe could take the bag to someone chosen at random in the audience, not Simon.
Look at the excitement.
He's done enough.
Everyone's looking down, look.
Yeah.
No pressure here. If this is Simon Hunt, I tell you.
Don't even say his name.
Okay, and the winner of the Simon Hunt and Anna Lucas is book 269.
Blue 269.
Congratulations.
Well done, Gemma. Gemma Sanchez.
That's the next one is the email, which was gratefully donated at the event you actually saw earlier on, where Damien picked on email education. Yeah, basically forced him. And this is Blue 386. Blue 386. This is for the email education cuddly toy.
David Winfield. As technical employee / partner of Nexus.
Yeah. Well, the kids aren't. The kids aren't. They can have the cuddly toy.
Mrs. Winfield over here. The late arrivers.
Okay, and this is for the hamper which we put together for tonight.
Derek is taking this very seriously here. Due diligence.
It's Blue 338.
Gemma, another one. It's not Gemma, is it?
It's Natalie.
Natalie. Come on, Natalie.
Congratulations, Natalie. I should say there's no obligation to do more events because of you've won this.
Although.
And the final prize which we'll be drawing shortly. Oh, we've got.
Well done, Nat.
This is for the £70 Amazon voucher. Oh, apparently they're all blue, so I've been saying blue. 315. 315.
Here we go, we've got a winner.
Congratulations.
Well done, congratulations everyone.
So as I said, we'll match on that. I think we've raised just over £130, so we'll put that up to £260. So thank you everyone who donated.
So, we're in the final stretch. Here we go, the last 2 minutes. So I hope you all enjoyed the evening as much as Mike and I and the team have. And you all leave here a little more inspired as to what we have and will continue to achieve together. If you want to all again put your hands together for the nominees and the winners tonight. I'd also like to thank the support we received from you, our providers and our sponsors this year. I'd also like to thank Tottenham Primary School for hosting us. We have a round of applause for Stephen and the team.
Can you also give an enormous round of applause to Damien and
We paid him for that.
and Joanna and Rhiannon.
So by the magic of technology, you should have all received an email already regarding the after-party pub drink. After-party sounds a bit formal. Piss up. At the pub in Ramsgate. If you haven't, make note, take a picture of that. That's where we're heading to now. I think we've got some taxis booked. 6 taxis are booked. Yeah, thank you very much to the Candy Floss, which they did this on their own. Thank you to the honorary Nexus members for tonight who took your raffle tickets and signed you in and came in.
Thanks to everyone online as well. Thank you very much.
And enjoy the rest of the night, guys. Thank you so much for joining us.
Goodbye. Thank you very much. So, if anyone's ordered taxis from myself or Simon, they are outside right now.